Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to yet another round of the IAA webinar. We are the International Advertising Association's India chapter, and as you are aware, we have these webinars around once a month where we call in people who are specialists in the digital media business to share with you points of view, to share with you the scenario, as well as help you gain from their experiences and figure how things are going. So this afternoon, we have with us two stalwarts from the business. We have, as you are aware of, Social Wavelength, which is one of India's topmost uh, social marketing agency, and which was acquired by the well-known advertising network JWT last year. And we have the joint CEOs of and the founders of that agency, Mr. Hareesh Tibrewala and Mr. Sanjay Mehta. Both of them have been in the business for many years. This is not their first venture in the digital media. They have done that successfully in the past. They have sold their earlier ventures, and now much wiser, they are doing a fair deal with the entire digital media scenario. So I'm going to ask you, this question to just share your opening thoughts as to how the digital media business is right now. Everybody is talking about the fact that digital is where the future is. Yet, we had one industry study saying that until 2017 or possibly even later, in India, digital is not going to be the number one media. So, what according to you, because you have a hands-on experience and an idea of where the business is heading, uh, where is the digital media according to you in India today?
So I think according to me, digital in India is kind of growing by leaps and bounds. And then this whole thought that digital India will become big only in 2017 is completely a myth. We saw the last national elections fought completely on social media, Twitter, digital, complete engagement happening. We saw the recent Delhi elections so active on social media. When we are talking to brands, we have seen tremendous increase in the digital spends over the last 4 or 5 years. If 2 3 years back digital was like slide number 68 in a presentation and more like an afterthought, we already have brands coming and talking to us and they want us to lead campaigns with digital. They start believing digital gives you better ROI, better way to engage with consumers. As a matter of one of the leading FMCG brands this year is planning to invest 40% of its total budget on digital. I mean, that is like a huge shift that we have seen.
Sanjay, what do you
Yeah, so I agree that first of all, that whether it's number one or number two or something like that, whether in 2017 it'll be number one, right now it's whatever. So that doesn't matter. I mean, it's not like a race that one has to be one or two. But there were days not far back, maybe 3 4 years back, when we would see that digital spend as a percentage of the total marketing spend was 6 7 8% or something like that. And what that meant was that it never got serious attention or interest from the CMO or the CEO, because they were all focused on, how's the television going or where the print campaigns are going. And now, as Harish mentioned, there is an FMCG company talking about 40%. There's an insurance company I heard about which is talking about 65% of their spends. And there's a technology company we know spending 80% of their money on digital. All that means is that from the very senior management of organizations, digital is a high priority. And that's where we're still talking about digital as a part of the marketing mix. But when we think of digital in a much larger way, because digital, unlike a television or a print where the ad happens or the marketing communication happens, and then there's a disconnect from there to the next step. Here, you might put out a marketing communication, and there's a possibility of somebody clicking that and coming to your website, engaging with you, talking about other things, creating a whole workflow of the next step. So digital is not just marketing alone as far as the media mix is concerned. It is marketing plus, because there's a whole bunch of operational extensions that your marketing message can get. So in that sense, it's much more critical, and it's really huge. So I think it's right here, right now. 2015, in fact, we believe is going to be a huge year for digital in India, and we can look at December and see what kind of strides it will have.
and you also think that people, marketers, are spending a fair bit of money. They are prioritizing digital vis-a-vis television and print?
Absolutely, I mean, without a doubt. I mean, and then very large numbers. So, of course, it is company to company and sector to sector. But the fact that there are several sectors, let's say, for example, BFSI, I mean, we know several organizations in BFSI who are not going to do a television campaign this year, or who may do at the most one campaign, or who do very little print, because a large part of their target audience is on digital. They are they are not reading television. I mean, seeing television as much. They are not reading newspaper that much. And if they have to reach them, they're already on digital. They can do very focused, very targeted, very relevant campaigns to them. You know, they're putting increasing money on digital. Absolutely.
So there's another point I want to make, Pradip. When we look at digital, why do we look at it only in the media context? Saying how much is media spend happening? I think the real power of digital is the enablement of creating new business models, which can actually create value for consumers. I mean, why don't we look at it? Isn't the whole of Flipkart a digital business? All of its spend may not be media, but the whole business is digital. That is the true power of digital. Digital really is a medium where you can create consumer experiences and solve consumer problems. And the example I want to share with you is what Tesco did, for example, in South Korea. Tesco is like a big bazaar kind of a thing,
Yes.
and people in Korea are very hardworking people, no time to go to stores. So what did they do? They bought the stores to people. There were two insights. One is people don't have time to go to stores. Second insight was when people are standing on a railway station waiting for a metro, they have time to kill. So they plastered the walls of the metro as if they were store shelves, real looking store shelves with barcodes. While you are waiting for your train, use your telephone, click the barcode, do what you want to buy, add it to your cart. By the time you reach home, products are delivered home. To me, that is the power of digital. We are belittling digital when we said one more media. When we say print TV digital, I think the whole power of digital is completely getting subsumed. It's an experience creating media.
But tell me, in terms of where do you see the regular digital, which is internet, desktop internet, what is accessible there, versus mobile? Do you see mobile having a huge role in the future in terms of the way the business is going to grow?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think a huge shift happening towards mobile. The accessibility over mobile. So whether it's the app being accessed over mobile or people browsing via mobile, I think the tipping point has already come. Any kind of communication that we create today, first we need to see what will it look on a mobile. Desktop actually is the afterthought. So more and more people are engaging with the medium on mobile.
The entire growth of user base today is coming almost completely on mobile. So the desktops, whatever had to happen, kind of happened. But the numbers, the rapid numbers which you're seeing now, we're talking about almost 300 million users in India and growing. It's all coming on the back of a mobile phone, because now we've reached a level of a smartphone which is in a sub $100 range, and it's enabling anybody and everybody to get into it. So the next challenge, of course, for everybody in the business, from publishers to marketers and everybody, will be regional language content and regional language branding, marketing, because a large part of the English speaking population probably is already there on the internet. The phones are getting out to the rest of the country as well, and however, maybe they'll be more comfortable to see content, advertising, messages, entertainment, communication, everything coming into their languages. So, which is an opportunity of sorts, and which will also then propel the next level of growth.
As people who are riding this wave, does it and given the fact that today what is what is maybe current and state of the art could be obsolete possibly tomorrow. So how is it that y'all are really keeping pace with technology? You need to make investments, and with the knowledge that the investment that you have made is possibly a piece of junk day after. So what is it that you do to ensure that you keep pace with technology?
So I think what we would normally tend to do is to constantly focus on the insight of the consumer behavior. We are not marrying platforms. So we for example, for our clients, we don't necessarily blindly say, let's do a huge platform on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever. It's more about, okay, what is clear is mobile is a driver, for example. Now, on mobile, whether it's Facebook on mobile or WhatsApp on mobile or a messaging platform on mobile or something else, will keep changing. It's an evolving scenario. However, the fact that we need to be mobile ready, we need to be mobile first, is a taken. So we're looking at more fundamental consumer behavior, sociological patterns to invest into, but not necessarily tying ourselves into specific platforms, or because that's where you need to be nimble enough that if you invested into Facebook, but for example, I mean that's not a fact, but supposing Facebook were to lose certain traction from consumers, and
Like
people
it happened with Orkut, it was
absolutely,
hot once
absolutely,
upon a time. Right?
absolutely. So exactly, and of course, in terms of sheer volume of messaging today, WhatsApp is taking, is much ahead in that sense because it's comfortable. Anybody from your vegetable vendor to your driver to anybody from your grandfather and grandmother, everybody seems to be comfortable on a WhatsApp messaging system, and which is where probably brands have to figure out that okay, how can I actually manage to do something there as well. So exactly, those are the kind of issues. It's not about marrying yourself into a platform, but more about fundamental consumer behavior.
To me, the whole learning is like a collaborative culture. The whole idea of having an ecosystem of 160, 70 people. These people are constantly trying out new things individually, personally, on client behavior. And we have something in our company called like a storytelling session, where we encourage people to come and share with us any case study they came across, which they think can be of value to the entire organization. So learning happens collaboratively. Everybody is trying to pick up the latest thing, teach each other, and be sure that message spreads right to the remotest corners of the organization.
But does it really worry you in terms of, and this is something which people keep telling us that they want to get into this, but they are worried about the fact that something that might get obsolete. For instance, the entire social media thing, which is currently hot and happening, could be has already kind of faded a bit because of the thanks to the likes of WhatsApp, etc.
No, Pradyuman, the way I would interrupt is that the medium is here to stay. Digital as a medium for engagement, community here to stay. Brands will come and go. Once it was Orkut, today's Facebook, tomorrow maybe somebody else. Brands will come and go. It is like when the entire digital evolution happened and we had search engines, there used to be something called Alta Vista, if you remember,
Right.
like a search engine. There used to be Yahoo. Nobody goes there anywhere. But did the power of search reduce? Did the fact that customer wanted an interface to go and look for information go away? It did not. So to me, digital fundamentally is here to stay and has impacted human behavior like nothing else in the last few decades at all. We need to appreciate that. So brands will come and go, platforms will come and go. The power of the medium is here to stay.
And then the last thing a brand or a company needs to think that, oh, I don't know, things are changing, so should I even step into it or not? Now, in that respect, there has to be a fundamental conviction that it's shifting, it's changing, but if you're not doing anything, it's only going further away from you. Because it's only when you put yourself there that you're going to do something, you're going to make mistakes, you're going to learn from the mistakes. But standing on the sidelines and thinking that let me first figure out the complete scenario, that what is the real thing, what's the platform, how should I do, and here's my 5-year plan to get there, man, everything changes, so you'll start again from scratch every time. So instead of that, you are in the waters, you are swimming, and you're learning at the same time is the only way to go in a dynamic space of this kind.
Currently we see a wave of e-commerce. Okay. Do you think in any way, for instance, you've seen the great boom of and then the fall of the dot-com thing in the late 90s. Do you see that as the current wave of e-commerce also uh, going bust in any way? Because
See that there's a valuation aspect which can go anywhere. Okay, so I mean I wouldn't like to make myself think like an expert on valuation. So the only challenge I see is that valuations seem to be astronomical. The kind of monies people are able to raise. But if you forget that part and if you look at the more fundamental issue of actual opportunity of delivering, products or services via an online route, which is what we call as an e-commerce business, I think it's absolutely real. It's here. It's for now. The fact that today's young people are what I would call as digital natives. So when they have grown up with a computer or with a mobile phone in their hands, they don't think of ordering something as an alien activity or something they need to worry about when I'm putting up my credit card or I'm doing mobile payments. It all comes naturally. It's as natural as for some of us on the other side, on the age part, we were pulling out money and giving and buying something. For a youngster today, it's as comfortable to buy online, whether it use banking services or use insurance products, whether you use travel or products. It's as comfortable, and then sitting at your home on your mobile, working at 11 in the night, ordering food, all that comes naturally. And we have such a huge population that whatever numbers anybody has reached, whether it's the Flipkarts, the OLX, the Quickers, there is a huge still further opportunity that they are going to get to, and which is where the business itself at its core, I feel, is going to be really big. Now, whether a particular brand succeeds or doesn't succeed, fails, goes bust because they raised too much money, they wasted too much money, that's all a different thing. Fundamentally, again, e-commerce is here to stay, it's here to grow, and we'll see more categories than we have seen, and we'll see more volumes than we have seen.
So I want to share a slightly different thought process, to make the time valuable for people listening to us. There was a very recent video I was seeing by somebody called Steve Galloway. He's a professor at I think New York University, and his opinion was that models like Amazon will die in the next 5 years. And I think what he's trying to say is that while e-commerce is getting value for the consumer, e-commerce business in their inherent delivery model are not efficient. They're actually not making ample money to grow the business. So the model he's projecting is where consumers will still place the order on the web, but the delivery they have to go and pick up at a store. Maybe that is the model that e-commerce will need to take. So is e-commerce here to stay? Sure. Will it evolve into a different model? Possibly.
That to an extent is already happening. But the primary fear of e-commerce is the fact that they're not making money. They're making money, or whatever they are charging us is
balance sheet funded at this point. Profit
right.
and loss is not there. So eventually they're trying to make profit and loss.
So does it remind you of the heady days of the 90s?
No, it does. But I think if you look at retail, see, this is a part of retail. And retail is a long gestation business anywhere, whether it is physical retail, whether it's online retail. So, because it's so much in the news and everybody's writing about it and everybody's talking about the losses and all that, it becomes big news. It's headline news that they're continuing to burn money. But people burned in a different way. When stores came up, there was huge real estate, there was huge infrastructure investment, and it was going to recover in 20 years. It was not going to recover earlier. So it takes time. But what's happening is the rate of growth of volume is very rapid. So the point is that, what Amazon did and there's a huge learning. Amazon went through the same cycle back in 90s and early 2000, that maybe you lose money, but you're acquiring market share. If you're getting more and more and more people to spend more and more and more of their money on your platform, and you have such volumes to go back to the suppliers and squeeze them for better pricing, you're pulling your price down, you're getting a little better value from your customer. At some point, you reach break even, and then from then onwards, it's all upwards. So it has to go through. The lucky part is that today there are investors in the country and outside the country who are willing to back these ventures for the time it requires to get there. It's not going to be easy. You can make a nice business with profitability and run it and cater to maybe this BKC area, and you'll be fine. But if you have aspiration to be a national level player and become like the default e-commerce guys for a particular category, it takes a lot more. It takes money. It takes a lot more to acquire market share. And brands are trying for that, and this is the way to do it. And I think they will reach the equilibrium of break even and then make profits. It's a matter of time. It requires that time and investment.
So I just go back to your question of, does it remind us of the heydays of e-commerce? I mean, the answer is yes. And I want to share a very quick example. So when we were running e-commerce, I was at that time in charge of merchandising, and we wanted to sell saris on website, and nobody had ever sold saris before. So I remember going to a shop in Dadar looking for saris, and I'm convincing the store owner that I will take pictures, I'll put up on the computer, I will get you orders. The guy was completely bewildered and baffled, and he told his watchman, don't allow this person to come in the shop again. If today I went and told him I'll sell saris for you online, I think he'll welcome me. Then that's like a huge transition shift we have seen from people believing in the power of e-commerce and being able to sell online retail compared to what the challenge we used to face in those days.
But tell me, for the benefit of our viewers here, what according to you, is the way things are going to go? And if people want to get into the arena, is there something that you would recommend that they should look at? And I'm going to ask you one more question, possibly along with this, is that I still remember when around the time you all started, and I used to wonder whether, what's the point of a specialized company which is going to do essentially Facebook likes and, and so on and so forth. So what is it that actually got you into setting up Social Wavelength and, today being such a large
so let me respond to both your questions first. So first is, what does one need to do in the digital area? Today, I think digital is like a skill set. Just like, English and typing, you need to understand digital. It's not like something removed. So whatever be the profession you're doing, whatever be your career, you have to be digitally literate. Okay, that's like a done thing one we should do. And the second question in terms of what kind of got us started as Social Wavelength, I mean, finally, we are entrepreneurs. None of us are domain experts. So when we started Home India, we didn't come from a retailing background. When we started Social Wealth, we didn't come from a media background. Our job as entrepreneurs is to see, is there an opportunity? Are we ahead of that curve? Can we put people, processes, capital together and make it happen? So we saw that in front of our eyes, that there is an opportunity that is kind of waiting to happen. There was a book that had come out around that time by an author called Charlene Lee, and the book was called. Do you remember the name?
Groundswell.
Groundswell. So Sanjay read the book. He gave me the book. I couldn't put the book down, but when you read the book, you could feel something brilliant is happening, like something new which has never happened before. And I told Sanjay, this is our second chance at making something. This time we're going to get it right. And our biggest learning from Home India was bring scale very fast. So from day one, the idea was we have to build scale. We have to be a 20-member company in 3 years' time. We have to be working 50 times.
One more way of pursuing that interest originally when we started social media, like Hareesh mentioned, that book and a few other readings which we did, made us believe in the opportunity, that the opportunity is there, the world is changing, more and more people are interacting with each other on these kinds of platforms. And every business, every single business, from a single person office of a lawyer or a chartered accountant or whatever, to the largest of global organizations, the Apples and the Exxon Mobils of the world, everybody will require to be in this space, whether it is from a consumer point of view, whether it's from an employee point of view, whatever it is. Now that's the scale of business opportunity, because all of these guys will require it, and it's not something which comes naturally. It was unlike traditional marketing. So the traditional marketers would not get it. Now, if that's the space, that's such a huge space, and if we are going to fill a certain part of the demand, all that we need to do is to go there and scoop out whatever it is that our ability is there to scoop out. Such a huge market. It was like, there was a guy in those days. Somebody had come to meet us from Australia, and he was saying that I want to be a partner and give me Sydney territory. No, I didn't understand first of all what is the word territory, business and all. And the reality was that I said, forget Sydney territory, find one building in Sydney and take that, and you will have enough business, and you and I both will have enough business to not worry about anything else. Because every floor and every office is a business opportunity, and we'll only be able to do so much because finally there's only 24 hours in a day. Because the business is such that every single kind of organization requires. And we were early, so we could make a brand for us, we could make a name, and get out whatever our capability and capacity was. So that was the kind of opportunity. So in terms of for a budding entrepreneur in digital or something, or a budding entrepreneur in general, I mean, if you see a market large enough, if you see that demand is not getting satisfied yet, and you have the confidence and courage that yes, I think this is large enough, I can scoop out something for myself, it will be interesting for me, that's a great business opportunity to jump into. And I mean, we can say today, maybe 5 6 years later, that it actually turned out to be interesting for us.
It is nice. It is interesting that you make a mention of lawyers as a practice area and specialists. But the thing about marketing and the thing about social media is that everybody thinks that they can do it. And as against law, where you need some specialized domain experience and you need some education, etc. But is that a fact, or does this require? Is there some science to it? Is there some domain knowledge?
Everything requires huge amount of expertise.
Right.
When there's a new opportunity, everybody will get it. It's like a gold rush. Everybody's uncle thinks they can create a website or a Facebook page.
Right.
Some people will stay put, somebody will not. We have gone through these curves earlier in
Right.
financial services sector. In the early 90s, everybody became an NBFC. Even a simple CA became a non-banking financial services company. We went through in 2000, everybody was a .com. His name was something .com. Valuation game came there. In 2010, everybody's doing social media. So you'll see these curves happen in a capitalist society. A lot of people will jump in. People who are long-term players who understand the business will stay put. Others will get out.
What do you recommend?
Knowing to post on Facebook on your status update and using Facebook or using social media to achieve a business objective are completely different things. So just because it doesn't seem like Greek and Latin, because I and my 12-year-old son also posts on Facebook. So what's the big deal? Is very different from saying that okay, go ahead and use it and create a business case out of it. It's very, very different. Having said that, you are right in some extent that when we go to pitch or we go to our clients, from the time we enter, maybe the security guy to the peon to everybody tells us that साहब वो एक Bollywood का ये करना चाहिए Facebook पे. So everybody has an opinion on doing Facebook, and then the CEO will say that my son said that you should do this. Now he's running few thousand crores of enterprise. He says my son has asked you to do this. Okay, is that strategy? I mean, do you ask your son that what should we do in operations and what should we do in customer service? But he says that Facebook will karna chahiye, my son has said. So yeah, that's the space, that whole fuzzy space that everybody think that anything can be done. Reality is that there is a huge strategy, a huge experience. There are tools to be used, there are methodologies to be used. It takes its effort. I mean, we're not saying it's necessarily rocket science, but it's also not as trivial as anybody can do it.
Would you recommend that if somebody wants to get into the digital media space and look at an organization as yours or an activity like that, or possibly set up something in the e-commerce business or whatever, is there some kind of specialized education that you would recommend, or what kind of programs are available, or is it all on the job and off the net?
Yeah, so I think the best experience actually comes on the job. This is my personal opinion. Basically, if you have good communication skills, good business skills, on the job is probably where your best learning will come. Having said, there are plenty of people who offer very, very specialized courses. But whatever course you take, finally remains academic knowledge. Unless you're able to put it to use on job, that is really where the best learning or best training happens.
But are you getting the kind of talent that
So 5 years back, it was very, very challenging. Nobody even knew what is kind of social media. Today, at least you get people who understand the power of the medium and who are users of the medium. Having said that, we are probably one of those few agencies who actually has a full-time trainer. Every single person who joins the organization was put through a training program where the person is trained how to use these platforms from a brand communication perspective. And then they start joining a team, become a part of the team, go through a complete learning cycle before a brand can really hand it over to them.
In fact, it doesn't stop there. So our trainer needs to constantly retrain our existing team, because the space, as you also mentioned in an earlier question, is constantly changing. So if a person who's already working with us has a certain knowledge, if that knowledge is not updated on a regular basis, it's going to be outdated. So the training which we have inside the organization enables them to be constantly retrained, almost on a weekly basis. Whatever has happened new is being conveyed and communicated to all the team members.
So one of the questions that I've got is that why do you think that conventional business school programs, etc., they've not really adopted digital in a big way, when digital is actually all pervasive and it's kind of entering our lives in such a big way? Then our current education, especially in the in business administration, are not really training people in the digital domain.
I think the challenge is that people who are occupying the positions of influence in some of these areas are the guys who are not very digital savvy. And it is their insecurity that doesn't allow you to get going. Just like in a company, you see some large corporations have not adopted digital. Not because they don't need digital, not because they don't understand the benefit of digital, but maybe the people in the area of influence are the guys who are away from the media. And that is the change and transition that needs to happen.
Because I think in these schools in general, unfortunately, the way the whole system is structured, there is inherent slowness because of the way a whole bunch of processes to happen, some approvals have to happen, a lot of people have to agree, some curriculum needs to be created, some faculty needs to come before it changes. So it can't, unfortunately, be as nimble as one would like to be, and it should change. Having said that, the odd exception, there are few exceptions who also may not change the curriculum because it still takes as much effort and time, but they have a fairly interesting industry connect kind of extended program which they have. They call a lot of people like us from the industry go and visit them very regularly, and at least they're enabling that the students get exposure to the new realities of this space, and that's one quick way for them to get exposure.
So I have another question which is coming where they say that there's a fair amount of to use the word mom and pop shops that have come up in the digital arena, and so this person wants to look at using the service of a digital agency, but is not sure whether what kind of company he should approach, given the fact that he wants to look at a small company, but he's not very sure about whether it's a fly-by-night operator or somebody established.
So one fact is that to set up what one would call as a digital agency doesn't require a large investment, or in that sense, like a big infrastructure. So yeah, that enables somebody potentially coming out of college and starting something, or even a college dropout for that matter. So it's easy to start, and some of them may be really good for specific kind of areas. So somebody could be really sharp creative, somebody may have great video skills or whatever. And if I know somebody of that kind, and I know I need to get that exact kind of work, and he's good, I can engage him and I can use him. The thing is that for large organizations, for significant organizations who are going to depend on an agency of this kind, or of our kind, any other kind, as their partner for digital, they need a lot more. They need a full ecosystem to support, and not specific and one-off skills. So if you're good at content, if you're good at video, if you're good at technology, that may not be the end of it. And it's usually unlikely that a small one or two people team can have multiple skills which are required. Also, what happens is that like the person may not intentionally be fly by night, but if things don't work out, because it's hard to, even a mom and pop or even a single one or two people, it's hard to make ends meet often. Monies don't come, something else happens, some change happens, and we have seen. I mean, nothing against boutiques. Some of them are great; they do some great work, but sometimes they need to fold up. Sometimes one of the partners wants to go abroad and do some studies, and suddenly they're left, with half an agency from one agency. Things of that kind of happen. Like I said, with full respect, not kind of trying to belittle or anything like that. But when you're a big organization, when you want a reliable, solid partner, then you would prefer to go to a well-established agency than these individuals. Is what I see.
Now, one of the things which I heard about some time back is that, unlike say other industry segments in this entire media arena, where you have the television guys have their IVF and the industry forum, the newspaper people have their forum, etc. But the digital industry, while it has a forum, they don't really champion one's rights in case the payments are late.
Yeah.
And the like. Is that something that you feel that is a problem? For instance,
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that is something that the digital whatever agency or ecosystem should look at creating a similar forum. So as you mentioned, over the last 5 years, the business has grown, the volumes have grown, consumer requirement has grown. It is time this kind of a body comes into place to ensure that there's a discipline and a good, healthy relationship between an agency and a client.
So this is especially for agencies such as yourself, or the entire digital domain?
I think the entire digital ecosystem, wherever it be that there's a client and there's somebody's supplier and there's a publisher, there has to be an ecosystem where everybody respects it.
But you already have an industry association in the form of the IAA. Right?
It is not able to enforce some of these things as well as it gets enforced in the print media. The sharing of data, information, and enforcement in print and television is far more hard, stricter compared to what happens in digital. So we need to have similar levels of enforcement.
Probably the bigger players dominating IMI, the e-commerce guys, the .com people. So their issues are very different from the agency issues. So it's just that they're also digital businesses, so it's all clubbed under one umbrella at this point. But for them, there are some, maybe they want better bandwidth, or things of that kind. They'll do government representations for all those things. For agencies, it's more closer to the agency industry association, which you mentioned, where client relationships, publisher relationships, monies, payment management, all those things are more critical, which are not probably the agenda of the.
Because right now you're not part of an advertising agency, though in your case you are. But I'm saying you're not part of the 3 A's of I, or you're not part of a.
We're not protected under any of these things. Not so far. If a client doesn't pay my money, there is nobody I can go and knock on anybody's door. At the same time, the publishers are so limited, whether it's a Google or a Facebook. I mean, the number of publishers are actually very limited in the digital media, whereas the number of agencies, clients are a plethora. So some kind of a good ecosystem is definitely needed of that.
Getting back to your own in terms of what I think we our readers, our viewers can benefit is from the fact that we've spoken about training, we've spoken about what are the kind of trends that are there. In terms of the talent that you have, and given the fact that you need to look at keeping on training. So you said about the training that is done for entry level, but do you also look at training people in terms of new technologies that come up, and that is also a necessary requirement, right, for talent?
Yeah, so as I said, we have two specific things. So one, of course, we have the trainer who's training people who are coming in new. We have a system where I think on a weekly basis a session is conducted to introduce all new things happening in the social and digital world to the entire team as a whole. Plus, we have a collaborative approach where individuals are prompted that if you have come up with something new which you think can benefit everybody, come and share about it. Besides, on a monthly basis, we try to get somebody from the industry who can come a different kind of a viewpoint on what is digital happening. So I think training, learning has to be like a constant process, especially in our business where every day is a new day. Every day there's a new algorithm, a new platform, a new requirement, something new happening. So we are actually knowledge workers. There has to be a constant input of knowledge that has to keep on happening from multiple sources. There's a lot of encouragement given to team members to actually keep on reading new things and sharing it. So constant input of knowledge is required so you can deliver quality output for a client.
Because in an arena like digital, the only constant is change, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you keep, you keep having to change and change and change.
Yes.
Uh, in terms of the way the technology is moving right now, are there you just launched a product yesterday, but are there new products that one should look at? Are these available easily online that one can acquire, or does one have to come to an agency such as yourself to use some of these new tools that are there? Because in the social media space, there's a fair amount of tools already available. So
I think the challenge most of the time is that there is an excessive offset of offering, and as an individual or often as a client, you don't know what I should use and what I shouldn't use. There are several free tools, several of different kinds. They'll do different things for you, and some of them are interesting. But they're all individually giving you small benefits, individual benefits. You as a company or as a brand have a certain large overall thing to protect your brand, your some agenda. You want to do something. You would normally need a whole set of multiple tools to make some sense. So, can you really be able to figure out 20 different tools who give you little benefit? So the game today for a lot of the bigger players, whether it's Salesforce, whom we are partnered with, and some others like that, is that can they offer you one suite of tool which can pretty much be your default suite and potentially take care of all the requirements you have on digital, which means as from a marketing standpoint, if we look at Salesforce, typical requirement of a customer is to acquire a customer. I mean, for a client or a brand is to acquire customers, engage them, take them through the whole consumer journey, retain them, and post-purchase engage them, continue to engage them, answer any of their queries, all those things, do advertising, do customer service, do CRM. Now that game is that can Salesforce or some of these other players find that one suite which says, okay, this is it. If you take this, you don't need to go anywhere else. Now, if it can fit the bill, it would be a huge solver of a pain point for clients. Clients today have to, should I use this analytics tool and maybe this listening tool and maybe this advertising tool and this social media workflow tool? And do they talk to each other? Are there APIs? Will I have to write code to make them talk to each other? And will it connect with my database at the back end and all that? And it's just grappling with IT challenges and whatnot. But here I say, okay, here's an enterprise suite, and it can fit it. It can work with your old legacy data, and it can enable you to exploit the entire set of challenges which today's medium provides you, where the consumer is connecting with you in your store, he's coming to you on mobile, he's coming to you on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, wherever, and he's buying from your store, he's trying to return to a different store, he's coming to an online store. All of these things are happening. It's a very complex world in that sense from a consumer touch point of view. Can I manage that? It's a challenge. Can I manage that well? So the game is, in to a large extent, Salesforce Marketing Cloud with the exact target solution which we actually launched yesterday in India aims to achieve that. I mean, we're going out in the market. Hopefully, we'll have a few cases there, and there are other providers also. But that's the challenge. Instead of doing that piecemeal, a little bit here, a little bit there, how to make the whole thing work together.
I think also from a corporate perspective, it is very important to marry to a tool which is going to be here to stay. Typically product is a 0-1 kind of a game. So we see a lot of people who come with fancy tools, 6 months down the line, they're not in business anymore. If I'm a large company and I'm choosing like an ERP system, I want to be sure the partner I'm working with is here to stay for 20 years and will make those kind of investments in business required to be sure that the tool delivers the results I want. So that is really where a social web and Salesforce partnership becomes useful. Where you can be sure that the tools are here to stay for a very long time and will create value for the organization over a larger life cycle.
Moving on from mentorship, and just a couple of more questions in the session is, for marketers who have not really adopted digital in a very big way, what is it that you would possibly tell them to look at, and evangelize? How would you possibly do that? Is that something that you do already, or is there something that you could do through our forum?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So, I mean, on a regular basis, we talk to a whole lot of people who themselves may not be very strong users of digital, or they have not pushed their companies in that direction. Now, our job is to help them understand the entire sky and what is happening, demonstrate by way of case studies that what is happening in the real world, and open up their minds to the thought that digital is here to stay. It's not just one more medium. It is something that's going to redefine the boundaries of your corporation and the way business happens. The sooner you jump in and the sooner you learn, it kind of helps. And I think that is where somewhere Sanjay and my experience becomes very useful. When we talk to a CEO or CMO, he knows he's talking to somebody who has 25 years of business experience. It's not like a 25-year-old coming and talking of the new flashy thing that is around. So they're able to relate at a business level. Finally, the person who's the CEO or CMO who has not taken the digital route, he needs to see a business benefit. Digital is not to be done just for the sake of looking cool, so as to say. What is my business benefit? If I'm able to show a business benefit, I doubt if there is somebody who will not be willing to adopt the new technology.
Plus, one, typically when we propose solutions to our clients, or when we pitch, there's one interesting, especially for people who are kind of stepping in. That there's this sort of slide we use. We call that there are four stages of social maturity or digital maturity. You can say crawl, walk, run, and fly. So while for a business, even if they are starting out, the big picture can be a whole lot of digital things and all connectivity and multi-branch and this and that. Really the entire organization would not be prepared to jump in that fast. I mean, it takes a lot of learning, it takes a lot of internal adjustment to say, oh, this is the new reality and this is how we need to do. So we say, it has to happen in reality, it has to happen in phases. So don't, if your competitor has gone way ahead and you feel, oh my God, I have not even started on my digital journey, I should tomorrow jump in and kind of try to catch up. No, it doesn't happen. Get to phase one, phase two, phase three. Sure, you can, once you are there, once you get comfortable, you can try to accelerate, but don't try to do everything on day one. So if you had to give a message to a marketer who is not yet started out, say that, okay, get started. The only way you can learn swimming is to jump in the water. Don't stand by the side and try to learn theory of swimming. Jump in is what's absolutely necessary. Don't just wait and watch.
But would you say that social media agencies are, in terms of the value chain of, various marketing service providers, are they really up there where they're solving business issues, or is it basically being used essentially as just, the Facebook Live like generators? You know,
So when the business started, people used to do social media for a curiosity sake. I mean, let's
right.
also start a Facebook page. The brief used to be, it was a single line brief. I want a Facebook page. When we moved to year 2 and 3, the brief used to be, I want a million likes. Because here's a million, I must have a million. It's kind of part of my KRA requirement. I think the overall industry has matured now to a level where social or digital communication is now boardroom level conversation, and people are beginning to derive business value. So when in the ecosystem you start getting respect for the work you do, you're also invited to kind of contribute back to the entire value chain. So I think 2015 is the year where digital agencies will actually be demonstrating, creation of business value for a whole lot of clients and brands.
So yeah, I mean, today also, if one had to think of like a pecking order of sorts within the agency framework for a client, I mean, maybe just out of legacy factors, maybe also because yes, they're still having heavy investments into television. Their first point of call might still continue to be the mainline agency, and somewhere later on, and I'm talking about an average. I mean, there will be the evolved consumer a client who will think differently, but that space is changing, and to a large extent, the onus is on us as agencies to make it happen. I mean, if we can inspire confidence in our clients that look through social and through digital, we can impact as much or more change than maybe a television commercial or a print advertising campaign or something can do, or a direct marketing campaign or a loyalty program can do. If we can inspire the confidence, and first of all, for that we need to believe in it. And we do believe at Social One, we believe that social and digital media has that capacity, and that's what we showcased in our event yesterday night, was how it can be a part of the entire consumer journey, done in a very structured way. In reality, a lot of clients are still using the piecemeal Facebook, Twitter, little bit campaign, influencer outreach, a video, but that's going to change. The onus is completely on us to make that change happen and earn that respect and kind of move up the pecking order in terms of our critical requirement, or getting the ear of the CEO more than the lower person in the client's team.
Great. With these words, obviously things are looking interesting for you, and I guess rest for the rest of the communication space in India. And all the best for what you're doing, and let's hope the industry grows and prospers a lot more.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you,
here.
Pradyuman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
IAA.